Man, I am so sick of eating alone. I wish I could just have a conversation with someone I really admired. AI girlfriend? Wait, what if I coded my own AI friends? I could invite the smartest people in the world to dinner and find out who the greatest genius of all time is. I gotta make this in time for tonight's dinner. Okay, let's get into coding this thing. Now first, I'm going to need a UI in order to display the output. And I want all of you to be able to access it as well. So a website's probably our best bet here. But I haven't made a website since my year 10 IT class. And that looked a bit something like this. So it's time to brush up on my HTML skills and do a free course. Okay, we've got all the boilerplate sorted now. Boilerplate is basically all this code you need to set up to get to the juicy stuff that actually does what you want it to do. Let's see how this guy looks. Damn, okay. Let me know in the comments if this works for you guys. Okay, let's see if we can code up something actually usable now. Hey, let's go. Looking good. Okay, well I've got a working website now, but it's kind of fucking ugly. Luckily, HTML works in conjunction with another programming language, CSS, to make shit look sexy. But now I gotta learn another programming language. Okay, back to free code camp. Done. Let's see these results. You know what? For my first time ever trying CSS, I'm proud. If you're a UX designer and you think it looks like shit, don't even try me. Or I'm gonna change the font to Papyrus and Comic Sans to piss you off. So that's a website UI done, but currently it does absolutely nothing. I can type things and I can hit buttons, but they're all completely useless. So now I have to introduce yet another programming language. The one that completes the web design holy trinity, JavaScript. This is the hot chili sauce of the halal snack pack holy trinity. With this, my website can dynamically respond to user input. That way these radio buttons actually update the amount of conversation partner text boxes. To do this, I'm first going to need to add a script tag and then link it to another file which has my code in it. Firstly, I need to select all the radio buttons on my page, which I can use query selector all to do, and put the name which I gave all the buttons. Now, I can loop through the buttons and use the most powerful method in JavaScript, add event listener. This lets me spy on each button until it changes, aka go from pressed to not pressed or vice versa. Then I make it run the function update guests. This first line checks if this is a newly pressed radio button, and then it changes the value of guest count to equal whichever number the button is. And so finally, now that I know how many guests there should be, I can loop through and display which text boxes should be shown and hide all those which shouldn't be. And look at this, we have a working dynamic guest name entry system. But there's a problem here. What if I want to host a truly grand ball and invite dozens of people? I don't want to have to copy paste all this code and manually update each ID. So now I'm going to learn another programming language. Luckily, this is one I've learnt before. I have studied under the king of programming himself, David J. Mallon. His CS50 course is a pilgrimage for many aspiring programmers, and I was blessed enough to be one of his disciples. To avoid manually duplicating HTML code, we can use Flask, which is a framework for Python that lets you handle the backend for websites. They support an extremely useful templating language called Ginger. This lets me type code directly into HTML, using for loop syntax like this, and variables to generate as many radio buttons and text boxes as I'd like. Then, in the backend at Flask, I can set the app to run certain commands when a URL is visited. The command I'll use is render template. To have Flask generate my HTML code for me, I'll use Flask run to open the server and I've got a working web page. And while it looks identical at the moment, it means now I can easily add as many guests as I want. Look, there's a funny number. Now everything is in place. can finally start coding my friends. I need to get all the information I enter in this web page to be accessed by my Python backend. Now, I had no clue how to do this, so I entered Stack Overflow and YouTube tutorial hell.
Information to a website, to a client.
It's here that I discovered the second greatest thing in JavaScript ever, the Fetch API. This allows me to send a package to the server with the inputted information. And to make it presentable, I just have to tie it up in a pretty little bow known as a JSON object. Essentially, it's an object with keys which represent types of info, and values which represent the info itself. So now I can send her on her way and trust the backend will receive it.
A few moments later.
Looks like it didn't. Okay, it's bug fixing time. Okay, it's fixed. And you wanna know what the problem was? You wanna know what the fucking problem was? It was because I didn't add post as a method to the app. And I'm also an idiot and call both these functions the same thing. Whatever, we press on. Now, you may notice that there's still an error there. This is because we haven't actually sent anything back. It's called fetch for a reason. So it's finally time to give something to this AI. And to do that, I need to use the ChatGPT API. They've got a pretty generous plan where I can spend $5 and get thousands of responses from it. So all I've got to do is install their software package. Now I can do a bit of copy paste, and now I can communicate with their servers. It's as simple as that. So using string template, I can create a sentence using all the data I received from the user. Now I can send this on to ChatGPT and use make response to turn the result into a response object with a 200 status code that means all good. So back on the front end, I use a .then method to do something with whatever the server gives me. For now, I'm just going to print it into this text box. Okay, let's give it a go. We got a working front end for ChatGPT now. Now let's see what I can make her do. It's time for me to write a letter. Dear ChatGPT, I send this API request with the intention that you create a hypothetical dinner table conversation. This will require you to receive the host's name, a topic, mood, and the guests. Please see the included attachment for this information. You must roleplay each of the guests, using elements of their life in your responses. You may give a paragraph of context to set the mood. Thank you. I would highly appreciate your swiftness in responding to my call. Kindest of regards and most of pleasures. Coding Cockatoo. Okay, the call has been made. We'll wait to see back from... She's already responded. She did it! It's exactly what I asked for. Thank you, ChatGPT. Okay, while the text output is doing its job, it's kind of ugly. I want to create individual dialogue bubbles for each character, kind of like texting. So I thought about it, and I realized I could ask ChatGPT to add sentinel values to denominate the beginning and end of each piece of dialogue, meaning adding ZZZ before and after. And then I can use regular expressions to grab the words between them and create a list of all the dialogue. That way I can print them off one by one. Plus, I had a special AAA tag for the context one. So I did that and then coded something to display them all, and look at that. They look much better.
Wow.
After getting my mum to test the app, she pointed out a major issue. I'm a cuck. So I went to code the final feature, the ability for me to contribute to the conversation. It's actually very simple for me to do. I can just copy paste the fetch call and replace the initial prompt with a subsequent prompt text. And then on the back end, I can do the same thing with reusing the ChatGPT API call. And all I needed to add was appending the convo history to the API call. This is because ChatGPT can't actually remember your previous conversation, so you need to manually include it yourself. This is how ChatGPT also works normally. They just summarize your previous conversation and include it with the message that you send. So I added a bit of HTML for the text box and button too, and done. I also decided that despite the stupid amount of hard work I put into customizing my own CSS, let's be honest, this shit still looks like ass. So I've decided to use another framework, Bootstrap, which helps with creating nice looking styles super easily. So let's add these final few lines of code. Watch this Cinderella transformation. I also added a context parameter to up the pizzazz a little bit, and I even added a profile for each character by using the Google Image Search API. Now it almost feels like I'm actually there. Wait, speaking of being there, shit, it's getting late. I should be calling over the guests for dinner now. Socrates, I'm glad to have you. Albert, you're looking in great spirits. Come on in. Shakespeare, why you look dashing? Come on in. Marie, wow, you look lovely tonight. Just mind the step. Rick, welcome. Oh, you brought a flask. You know, I have wine. Okay, I guess all good. Come on in, man. It is so nice to have you all here for dinner tonight. I have never had the pleasure of having such a legendary array of guests. I think this is a good opportunity to finally answer the question, who is the greatest genius of all? I'm obviously not one of wit, so I'll let you all take the stage.
You're all living in a fairy tale. Einstein over here thinks he's the king of the universe with his relativity, but please, who actually gets shit done? I mean, I travel between dimensions, and my inventions have saved lives, if you count everything as lives, including alternate versions of ourselves.
But Rick, what is it that you actually achieve? You build chaos instead of order. True genius questions the foundations of knowledge. The unexamined life is not worth living. One must rigorously explore ideas.
Socrates, while your philosophical inquiries are profound, they don't exactly change the world. My theories of relativity laid the groundwork for modern physics. Those discoveries led to technology you all rely on today.
I appreciate all perspectives, but we must not forget the impact of scientific advancements. My research in radioactivity paved the way for medical breakthroughs. Without those, we would still be in the dark ages of medicine. Surely that speaks to a kind of genius as well.
Ha! Yet none of your scientific theories touch upon the breadth of the human experience. Where's the genius in a mind that cannot empathize? To weave words that capture the essence of humanity, that is genius. Remember, all the world's a stage, and our words are but characters.
Patrick, what say you? Surely a man of your wisdom must have a perspective on this heated debate.
Why? I think that settles it. I think the greatest genius of all
Hi.
time is...
Did I make it in time?
So did I hear something?
Hey, hello. It's Elon.
Elon Musk? What the hell are you doing here? I didn't invite you.
I heard there was a dinner for the greatest genius of all time.
Hang on. Yeah, what the fuck?
A lot of people say I'm real life Tony Stark, so I guess I can go next to Rick.
No, Elon. You don't deserve a spot on this table.
But I'm the richest man alive, and I'm taking the world to Mars.
Elon Musk? Seriously? You're just a glorified businessman. You might have flashy rockets, but what's the science behind it? You don't even have the intellect to challenge the very notions of physics.
While I admire your ambition, calling you the smartest is like comparing apples to oranges.
And yet, my dear friends, isn't it the case that he does possess a certain flair for capturing imaginations? To dream of Mars is to write the next chapter of humanity's journey.
Feel free to fawn over Musk, but let's see him actually do something groundbreaking beyond just tweeting about it. Anyone can launch a rocket with enough cash.
Yeah, and you lied about being a pro gamer. Do you think Socrates would lie about being a pro gamer? Goodbye, Elon.
Fine. I'll be Xing about this.
Okay, now that that's over, I'm gonna let you guys vote for who's the greatest genius of all time.
Well, if we're being honest here, I'd vote for myself purely for the fact that I exist in a million realities. But let's be real, I think I'd put Socrates up there. He literally asked the questions that shape modern thought.
I thank you for that, Rick, but I would cast my vote for Marie Curie. Her contributions not only advanced science, but literally saved lives. To uncover radioactivity and pioneer its use in medicine, that's a legacy worth honoring.
I'd cheer for Marie, too. Everyone talks about the mad scientist, but to have a woman in science, especially during her time, was revolutionary.
Wow, thank you all. But it is a privilege to be in such esteemed company. If I must choose someone at this table, my vote would go to Socrates. His method of questioning and teaching transcends time. It fosters critical thinking, which is foundational for science and progress. His wisdom laid the groundwork for exploring truth.
A noble choice. I'd have to support Rick's nomination. The discussions we've had today reflect just how much influence Socrates has had, inspiring critical thinking and debate across millennia.
Ah, my friends, I am deeply humbled by your words and your votes. To think that my simple method of asking questions could resonate so profoundly with such esteemed minds. It seems the unexamined life has indeed proven itself worthy of examination.
Yeah, congratulations, philosophy guy. Don't let it go to your head.
Well, that settles it. Congratulations. For the record, I would have voted for you too, Socrates. Alright, I think that's enough chit-chat. Let's dig in. Well, thank you all for experiencing my strange brainchild. If you like this kind of content, let me know, and I'll see what else I can cook up. Link is in the description if you want to try out this app for yourself, so go have some fun with it. Unfortunately though, dinner is not included.